I've separated this video into three parts. So there's going to be the classics, the new classics, and the feelings. So starting with the classics. So the first film on my classics list would have to be The Truman Show. Released in 1990, it would have to be my favourite political comedy. I guess it is that. In case you haven't seen it, it's about a man who grows up in a TV show. He's bought as a baby by one man, who starts a company and creates an entire reality TV series around him. He's brought up in a dome his whole life, and everybody in his life is a paid actor. Everything is orchestrated around him, and the whole world watch him. The reason I love it so much is it's a very funny film. It's a very beautifully shot film, actually. Jim Carrey is amazing in it. Probably, his best performance, definitely. It has such a strong political meaning, I guess. It doesn't say anything, yet it says so much, and I just love that in a film. My oldest film in the classics category would have to be Psycho. It was released in 1960 by Alfred Hitchcock, and it remains, for me, not a fantastic film. It has many flaws, but essentially I think it's the first very important psychological thriller. I'd say it sort of paved the way for those sort of films, and for me, the first time I watched it, it's a film from 1960. That's That's 59 years old. The first time I watched it, I was blown away by the fact it's actually good. Next on the list would have to be Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is one of those films where you can just watch it again and again, and you can watch it on loop, and it always holds up. Bill Murray is amazing in it, and it's such an 80s film. I just love it. Back to the Future. This film actually is in two of the categories. It's in the classics and it's in the feelings. That film is Forrest Gump. It hits so hard. If you haven't seen Forrest Gump, then honestly, sit down one night, just watch it on your own in the darkness. You will want to live his life, you want to live your life, you will probably cry. I cried on the second time watching it, and it's such fantastic. Sticking with Tom Hanks, Big is, it's so 80s. I fucking love it. It's like this kid, right? He's a kid, and he goes to a fairground, and he finds a I don't know what they called. I've never been to a fairground. A man in a box, probably, and he goes up to it. He pays money and he says, "I wish I was big." He wakes up and he's Tom Hanks. The next film on my list is The Shining. Not much to say about The Shining. It's a very solid film. I feel, in my opinion, like I said before, Psycho. It was very influenced by Psycho, as you can tell if you watch the film. Give it a watch. The new classics. So the first in the new classics is the Cornetto trilogy. If you don't know what the Cornetto trilogy is, Edgar Wright, a fantastic director, he made trilogy of films. I don't know the exact order, but they are Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, and Hot Fuzz. So Shaun of the Dead is the only zombie film that I like. It's a comedy, it's a parody of Dawn of the Dead, loosely. It's got Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, as have the other two films, and it's just genuinely really funny and really well done. The second film is Hot Fuzz. Might be the third, I don't know. Hot Fuzz. Again, it's a comedy. They're all comedy. It's just so well written. It's about this policeman from London, played by Simon Pegg, and he gets moved to the countryside to be a policeman there, and he finds it really boring to be a policeman in the countryside, and there's not a lot going on. But then one day he realizes that something is going on. Ooh. And the final film in the Cornetto trilogy is The World's End, which is essentially a pub crawl. It's a few mates redoing a pub crawl they failed at as teenagers, and they just go around their childhood town, go to all the pubs, drink at every pub, and they get their hands a bit blue on the way. My second new classic is The Wolf of Wall Street. The Wolf of Wall Street, I think, is a fantastic film. Its cinematography is amazing, and the acting is fantastic. The script is a bit indulgent for my liking, but it doesn't take itself seriously in that indulgence, and I feel that doesn't let itself down on that behalf. Staying on Martin Scorsese, he wrote a film, directed a film, made a film, he did a film, he filmed a film, he filmed a movie, he movied a film. Martin Scorsese made a film called Shutter Island, again starring Leonardo DiCaprio. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. I can't really give much away for this film. If you haven't watched much cinema, it's a really original film. If you have watched a lot of cinema, it's not an original film. Another new classic of mine, I watched it very recently actually, is The Grand Budapest Hotel. I mean, Wes Anderson is a god. The use of aspect ratio. I normally hate aspect ratio changing throughout film, where it's like widescreen cinema scope, then it's like 4:3, then it's like 16:9. But Wes Anderson, I forgive you. The way he portrays time in this film is fantastic. There's a lot of different things going on throughout different time zones. I just saw my hand in the shadow and it freaked me the fuck out. Oh, cinematography. Grand Budapest Hotel, more like the Grand Camera Best Hotel. Camera. Best camera work. Joker. I watched Joker when it came out in the cinemas. I expected it to be a 7 out of 10. It was a 9.9 out of 10. It was fucking phenomenal. I don't like superhero films. I watched Infinity War and I was like, right, alright, that happened. Good job, guys, that was mediocre. And then I watched Endgame and I wanted to blow up Parliament. But Joker really, it blew all other like superhero villain films out of the water. It challenged the archetype so heavily and it really paid off. The acting was amazing, the cinematography, you know me, you know how much I love good camera work and good color grading. Whiplash. The last film in my new classic section is In Bruges. I genuinely think it's the story is simple. The story, without giving too much away, it's about two hitmen from the UK. They get sent to Bruges in Belgium to hide out by their boss. You sort of learn throughout the film that one of them has done something bad and that's why they've been sent away. The writer went to Bruges. He loved it for a few days, and after a few days he got very, very bored. And when he was there, he came up with the idea for the film between two characters. One character that loves all the architecture and history, one character that's bored out of his fucking mind. And that made a fantastic film. I was lucky enough to actually visit Bruges with my girlfriend a couple of weeks ago. And yes, I did reenact a lot of the scenes. I went up the tower and I pretended to shoot a gun from the top. I tried to jump off, but they put mesh on the front, so it didn't really work. Still pissed off about that. Another section I just thought to include, which I didn't, which I should have, is Tarantino. Tarantino, despite being one of my least favourite people, is my favourite director. His films are my favourites, straight up. My favourite film is Inglourious Basterds because I love history, I love film, I love cinematography and great writing, and this film has all of these things perfectly. Pulp Fiction, again, in my top 5 favourite films, just the best film, as one of my friends said, the best film ever written about nothing. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in the cinemas. I won't lie, it's a good film, For Tarantino, I felt like it was just an excuse to show off his record collection. Watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like hiking up a mountain. The first 80% dragged on. The pacing was terrible, and then it finally got to what felt like a structural middle, or about 2/3 through. And then big fight happens, really good fight scene. I think, right, that's a good fight scene to pick up the pace, get it going. The pace is picked up. The pace picks down from the fight scene, it moves off as you do. Then it ends. Section 4 out of 3 is the feelings. There are 4 films that's aggressive. There are 4 films in this category for me, and all of them made me cry. The first film in this category, the feelings, is, I'm gonna cry just saying it, Call Me By Your Name. The lead actor of Call Me By Your Name is Timothée Chalamet, and he is amazing in every role he's ever played, I think. The other film he's been in that I absolutely adore, that's in this category, is called, what's it called? Beautiful Boy. Beautiful Boy is a true story about Nick Sheff. I think that's the son? Yeah, Nick Sheff. Let's go with Nick Sheff. He is a drug addict, and it's about his relationship with his father, played by Steve Carell, who was really, really good in this film. There's this one scene where he just breaks down, because where he just can't help his son anymore. And I was with my friend in the cinema, and we've never cried in front of each other. And he looks over, and I'm just like bawling my eyes out. You know when you have those sort of memories when you look back at your childhood, like, you know, teenage sleepovers, mates coming around, all this sort of stuff. For me, if I had to associate one film with that, it would be Submarine. Submarine was directed by Richard Ayoade, one of my favourite comedians, and also a very good director, of no surprise. Submarine will always be special to me because I first watched it with my best friend at like 3 a.m. in my house, like laying in bed almost asleep, and the Wi-Fi was buffering. It was in 720p, but honestly, the soundtrack by Alex Turner, if you've watched my other video about music, you will know how much I love Arctic Monkeys. And Alex Turner, the soundtrack he made for this film, it just lifts the film from like a 6 to a 9 that easily. The last film on my list, the whole list, is the film that probably has stuck with me the most over this past half a year. When I first met my girlfriend in July, I'd known her at the time since January, and she came over for a month and stayed here. She's from America, and we watched The Notebook. And if you ever watched The Notebook next to your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you will understand the conversations that happen after watching that film. I also have some films that I haven't seen that I have on a list to watch. I'm going to read them out, and what I would like everyone who watches this video to do is, if I read out a film that you've seen and you know is fantastic, let me know, okay? So we have, I'm reading off my phone by the way, I'm not just looking at the floor, like I'm not that pessimistic. We have The Lobster, Duplicate, Jackie Brown, Donnie Darko, Moonrise Kingdom, Her, Seven, Zombieland, Leon, Leon, it's French, I'm guessing Leon, Atomic Blonde, 16 Candles, Ready Player One, Snowden, The Addams Family, Fight Club. I have seen Fight Club before, but I was too young to understand it. Hidden Figures, Memento, Greasy Strangler, A Ghost Story, Ocean's 11, Reservoir Dogs, Saving Private Ryan, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, American Animals, Lost in Translation, My Sister's Keeper, Happy Death Day, You Were Never Really Here, Crazy Rich Asians, Pursuit of Happiness, Sing Street, Manchester by the Sea, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Split, and 7 Psychopaths. I know, it's a lot. That's why when I say I'm getting to it, I'm getting to it. So yeah, that was my favourite 12 films, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any recommendations or any comments about my opinions on films, please let me know. I love being attacked. Thank you for watching. Hit that bell, subscribe, that subscribe, hit subscribe to that bell, hit that like bell, and like.